Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dragonfire Fantasy Football Podcast, a place to learn about fantasy football, I guess. My name's Chuck.
This is Julian.
And I'm Greg.
Yeah, and today we have a special guest, Adam Gase.
Oh, no.
Never that.
Never that. We have a special guest, my girlfriend, Kate, who doesn't really know anything about fantasy football. So introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate, and I don't know a lot about fantasy football, like anything at all. I do know about football in general. Like, I watched a lot, a lot of bad football when I was in high school marching band. And then I've watched a lot of games with Chuck. So I know, like, the basic rules and, like, Eagles players, but nothing really beyond that.
And we're going to try to train her today, which is going to be pretty impossible. You're not saying you're going to be a bad student. I think I'm going to be a bad teacher. But I'm going to count on Greg and Julian to carry that. So I think we'll just go over the general gist of fantasy football. So the idea is you're in a league with multiple people and you hate each other and you never make a trade and everyone's miserable.
That sounds about right.
Only certain leagues.
Well, there's money, right? Is that why people don't trade? Because
so trading in general is like a very like risky thing. Not risky, but it's kind of a thing where people get worried about getting like fleeced or like getting conned out. So people don't like making trades most of the time just because they don't want to look
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what either of those two things are. What does fleeced and conned out mean?
No, like
just picking bad people.
No, just fleeced means like, okay, let's say I sold you something that was like $1 for like $10. You're gonna feel fleeced.
So you're getting overcharged?
Yeah. You think that you're going to trade away something, like you have this huge value on your team, and then some guy comes along and is like, hey, I like that guy. You want to give him to me? I'll give you this like garbage pile. And so then they're like, no way. And that's pretty much the gist of how all trades go. And they never, so no one ever makes trades.
Gotcha, because you want to keep your good players to yourself, especially when you don't know how other players are going to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a social thing too. Like you don't want to look like the dummy to other people because trades are public. That's the other thing. So like, if me and you trade in the league, Greg can see it too. So like, let's say you fleeced me, everyone's gonna be like, haha, Chuckles Bubbles got fleeced.
Well, and then would everyone approach you with trades because they think you'd be like an easy mark?
That's a good point. That is very, yeah. Like in some leagues, not all, but just to generalize, if you do look like a kind of a weak target and you don't know anything about football, people will target you. That's why in some leagues.
Me, if I played fantasy football.
Well, okay. So another thing is most leagues have a veto system or some kind of system where like other people can review the trade as well, so they can okay it or like know it. You know what I mean? So like, let's say like it is like a bad trade. Other people would be like, "Oh no, this can't happen. This is not fair."
Oh, is that normally why people would veto stuff? I feel like it's weird that you would have other people weighing in on a trade just between two like people or like two teams.
It is weird. It shouldn't happen at all, ever. But that's what some people do. They think there might be an unfair advantage given to one team, or the worst word in fantasy, collusion.
Yeah.
Like towards the end of the season, say Chuck's out of the playoffs. He has nothing really to play for anymore. He he can't do anything. He's already paid his money. He has nothing to live for in the league. But I'm like, hey, Chuck, I see you have a first rounder that you're not going to need because you're out of the playoffs. How about I give you this 10th rounder who's not that good, and I'll buy you a halal, and you can trade me him. And then my team gets really good for basically not the same value that I'm giving away. And he agrees to it because he doesn't really care anymore. The other league, those rules are in place so people in the league can be like, hey, your team's getting stronger for like a BS trade that shouldn't happen. So they should be allowed to step in, and the commissioner should be allowed to review that and kind of stop it. if it's that far gone, But if it's
Gotcha.
like a normal trade that like if someone just thinks I want to trade because I sent Chuck a third rounder, a second rounder, and I just sent him a third and a second rounder for one of his first rounders, someone might say, hey, Julian's getting the better side of that deal, but it's not ridiculous to the point where people should be able to vote on that. That's just if Chuck wants that deal or not. So I think you shouldn't step into someone else's trade. Most people think you shouldn't step into someone else's trade, and it's like ridiculous.
I agree.
Gotcha. Now you were saying something about like first rounders, second rounders. Is that like, because I know with like fantasy football you go through like a draft process where you pick. Are first rounders decided by what's picked during the draft, or is it just like they've got the best scores or when they were initially drafted?
Yeah, so I said rounder, but I guess so. When you first draft, you get the people you draft in the first round and the people you draft in the second round, just from how they look in the preseason. I should have said position and their number. So like if you have a really good running back, if you're in a 12-person league and this running back is currently in the top 12 ranked, he's an RB1. I shouldn't have said first rounder because you can get an RB1 in the 5th round. You don't know. If you just know, like, oh, I think this guy's going to blow up this year, and you take him late. So I should have said RB1 because that tells you how valuable that person is based on how well they're performing this year. People you draft in the first round, you think they're going to be, RB1, wide receiver 1, but it might not turn out that way.
Now, does that ranking like change after like every game? Like, let's say you do have this like kicker who's doing great, and then like 3 games in a row he just is like missing all the field goals.
Yeah, we don't really rank kickers like that, but for running back, if a guy he's doing a really good one, like he has 3 touchdowns week 1. This was what was his name? Mike. Who was the Patriots running back with like 3 touchdowns week 1 against the Chiefs the other year? Like
It was not Sony Michel, right?
No, it was Mike something. Remember, because I picked him up like, oh, I got an RB1. Anyway, it was this guy. He's like, the team had 3 running backs, and he scored 3 touchdowns. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be an RB1. He did like almost nothing the rest of the year. He's probably like an RB4 or 5. And, that changes because week 1, his value is really high because you think, oh, he's going to score a bunch of touchdowns. But it's not the case as you go throughout the year. So it does change.
Yeah, another big thing is like rankings are kind of made up by the general public and also experts. So there's like fantasy football experts who will put their rankings and they're kind of like viewed as like the holy word. And then there's usually like, depending on the app you're using, what people are doing. So like, oh yeah, people are rostering this person in 99% of leagues and they're starting him in like 33% of them. You know what I mean? So it's like
Rotten Tomatoes, where you have the critic score and the audience score.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. So another thing I kind of wanted to run by you is there's a lot of different ways to draft, and it depends on your situation in the league. So it depends on like the roster spots. So let's say you're in a league, and this is going to be a little confusing. So let's start with the standard one. The standard one has like 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. A flex can be a tight end, running back, or wide receiver. Usually, some leagues have QB as flex, but let's not go into that. And then you have a kicker and a defense. That's a very typical league, like roster setup. So in that kind of roster setup, the best position would be running back. If you have multiple spots for like quarterback becomes more important because quarterbacks usually score the most amount of points and they're the most consistent. But running backs give you the most bang for your buck. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, there's only like a handful of good running backs. So, and because you need to start 2 of them every week, then it becomes very important that you stock up on some good ones early on in the draft. When you have 2 spots for quarterbacks, they score the most points, but there's like so many good quarterbacks that you can kind of wait and kind of get it if there's only 1. But if there's 2, then, and there's, say 12 teams in the league, there's only 32 starting quarterbacks, and you're going to have some bad quarterbacks that year, and you do not want to get stuck with them. So you're gonna want to target quarterbacks a lot earlier if you can start 2 in your lineup.
Yeah.
Well, everybody makes points differently, right?
No, everyone
Like
actually
running backs is yards.
they all score the same. The only reason why running backs can score a lot more is because they rush and they get touchdowns, and they can also receive. And a reception in most in a PPR league, which means point per reception. Sorry, and
Yeah.
they get 1 point. So yeah, sorry, I'm kind of like
It's not a PPP league; it's a
it's
PPR.
I thought you
PPR.
switched to talk
Yeah.
about D&D for a second. I was confused.
Yeah, I'm like talking through it. I'm like, man, I'm going crazy. What am I talking about? And so running backs are the most versatile. And more recently, it's been kind of a wave of like running backs that can do the whole rushing and receiving thing really well. So kind of like,
Oh, like Aaron Hernandez.
okay, we don't talk. And he's a tight end.
Jeez.
Yeah, and
Oh, tight
yeah.
end.
You gotta edit
Sorry, I
that
watched
out.
that
No, I'm
Netflix thing.
kidding. Oh
I'm
Could
like,
have.
man,
oh, I
so
watched a Netflix documentary. I know some football stuff, right?
there you go. I don't know if that's the one you want, but yeah.
I don't think so either.
So everyone gets points from different stats. So for normally the leagues has set stats for everything. So for every catch you get a point, every yard that you get receiving yard or rushing yard, you get 0.1 points, and every passing yard you get I think is it 0.025 points? 0.004. 0.04?
Yeah, every 25 yards is 1 point per pass.
Yeah. So that's why quarterbacks get a lot more points because they're constantly passing normally. So you're going to have if a quarterback has 300 yards and no touchdowns or anything else, right there, that's what?
300 yards.
12 points? Is that 12 points?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
That's
And then if you throw the passing touchdowns is 4 points normally, rushing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns is 6 points. So if that quarterback threw 3 touchdowns, that's normally 12 more points. So he scored 25 points, 24 points on the week if he has 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. I think.
And how many points would you say is like average for like a game? 100?
for
80?
for a player or for like
For
giving
like
out throughout
if
a
you
whole
were
game.
like a whole game, like you're gonna win, like because you're against somebody every week, right?
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
depends. It
It
really
depends how
depends on
good your
like the
teams
roster.
are, how
Yeah.
good of a week the NFL had. Because now I feel like there's been a lot more offensive points. And I think there was a lot more touchdowns in general this past season, in closer seasons than before. So I think offenses are allowed to do more. They get away with defenses can't do as much to defend. So I think offenses move a lot more and score a lot more touchdowns. But in general, I would say for a half PPR league of a game is normally, I don't know, 120, around 120 would be a normal score. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 100 on the low end and like 130 on the high end. So like yeah, 120 is like the average, like 115, 120. And
Yeah,
it
If
really
your team's
you'd
really
be happy
good,
with 120.
yeah. Of course, you could score 140 and just happen to face a team whose scores 155 that week and be really upset. But normally, I think teams get around 125 to 110.
Gotcha. And is it normally like close? Are the points like within like 0.5, or is sometimes it's just like a runaway game?
it's completely random because you really
Yeah.
have no effect on the other team at all. Like the only way you can have an effect if you pick a matchup, and that's still not like a way you can really affect the team. So like let's say you have like the wide receiver of one team and then they're facing another team that week, so you pick up their defense. That's one way to do it, but like that's so not like it's not a normal thing to do. It
And it still
sometimes
doesn't really affect their team, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. You have no way affecting their team, and it's like not to say completely random, but it is pretty much random, like what the scores are going to be. Like you're
Unless
projected.
you fleece them in a trade, then you can affect their team. Yeah.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Definitely helps.
Yeah. You're going to be doing a lot of fleecing in your first league.
No, I'm probably just gonna trust the computer because I feel like the drafting process is what's like most intimidating to me as like a player who doesn't really know football because I feel like once you get your team set, you know if they're playing that week, you'll put them in, but if like someone's injured, you'll put in a substitute, I guess. But
That's
I
a good
think the
point.
whole drafting process of just like who to pick, who do I think will be like RB1 or something like that is very intimidating.
That's the thing, though, Kate. I think normally you can trust the computer. Like, say, you got your team already, and the prediction tells you this guy is going to score 12 points and this guy is going to score 8. And you're going to say, oh, I'm going to put in the 12-point guy because the computer predicts he'll score more. But the scary thing is that doesn't always happen. Unless you have like Christian McCaffrey, who's like number one pick normally, and the computer says, hey, he's going to score 23 points. He's probably going to score 30 because that's just who he is. But if the computer tells you, hey, I think Calvin Ridley is going to score 18 points this week, and I don't know, CeeDee Lamb is going to score 10, I would normally most weeks start Calvin Ridley over CeeDee Lamb, but you never know if he's. Sometimes the better, more experienced players will know if like someone's hobbled or if someone has a really good matchup. Like if Amari Cooper's hurt and who's like another receiver on CeeDee Lamb's team, so Lamb will get more targets. Dak's been on fire. They're facing a really bad defense. I think Ridley's a bad example for this because I probably would never start Lamb over Ridley. But you'll sometimes, if you know background information on the players, you might tell yourself, hey, I think the guy who the computer tells me is going to score 10 points will score more than the guy the computer told me is going to score 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
It can work out for you if you just do what the computer says all the time, but the computer is rarely like 100% spot on with every player. Like, I don't think that really happens.
And just to talk about the draft a little bit, since you said, because you don't really know these names of these guys if you're first starting. Generally, you can just look at, do a quick, just look up top, list, top 10 or top 50 lists of each position of like the running backs and wide receivers. And just like general draft strategy, get a couple running backs early, like whatever one is at the top of the list, some are going to get taken out before your picks, and then just take the top guy and then just keep going down the list. Take the top one there, then take a couple wide receivers in rounds like 3 and 4, maybe go with a running back or wide receiver in the 5th round, and then just kind of try to take the best player available. You don't have to get crazy with the strategy if you're new. You don't really know what's going on because it's really random anyway. You could end up drafting like the best team in the league just looking at someone's list, like consensus expert list, and that's what I did like my first year or two, and I didn't win anything, but I was like one of the top teams in the league every year, so it was great. But the playoffs get really random, so you can't really get too much into that. But that's a good strategy for just starting out if you don't have a good idea of like every single team and every player on every team and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Will the computer not like suggest like, oh, you should draft this person, or is it just kind of like a search bar where you're like,
It depends.
Okay.
If like you're on, it's I know for ESPN definitely they will suggest the player, and like they've gotten more advanced throughout the years, like even suggesting like, oh yeah, you're pretty stacked on wide receiver, draft a running back. What I was gonna say mostly is you'll get more and more comfortable with drafting the more experience you have, obviously, and like the more you watch games, the more you actually see the stats like like roll out and everything, and you kind of get a gist for like what's going on. Like, and when you're even more confident, let's say you do this for like a couple of years, you're like, oh, this guy just passes the eye test for me. Like you've seen so much
The eye
football that you're
test,
like,
like he's cute. Oh,
yeah,
oh.
exactly, yeah. That's
You got it.
yeah.
Honestly, sometimes.
Just draft Odell Beckham Jr. first round every single time. Oh man, but yeah, I think drafting is a thing where you get more and more comfortable. Like my first year, I didn't know who the fuck Todd Gurley was. I was like, okay, is this guy like actually good? Who is he? I remember Brian Westbrook.
You look
So
up and someone else took him and he's dropping 30 on your head.
yeah, you're like, oh shit, this is like the guy. This is like the main character of this anime.
Yeah, and there's also like a bunch of apps that let you do mock drafts, and so it'll be like fake drafts that not it's not going to lead you to an actual league, but it'll walk you through the process of drafting a team against other people around the world in real time, and then it'll show you your team at the end. It'll give you a grade. Some of them will tell you like your team is really strong at this, but you didn't focus on this enough, and then you can kind of figure out your strategy. When you're going against real people, you'll know kind of how your draft will work out. And then you can see, like, okay, this guy who I like, and the computer told me I might like, he went in the 6th round, so I shouldn't wait till the 8th to try to grab him. Something like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. But
Now,
yeah,
I think I have another. Oh, I was going to say, I have another question. Just because I've seen Chuck spend so much time on fantasy football, like he'll listen to fantasy football podcasts, he'll watch all of the football games, look up all this stuff. How much time a week during fantasy football season do you spend on fantasy football if you're only in one league? Because I know that can differ if you're in multiple leagues.
it depends like how much time you want to spend in like one league. I think is the best for like a beginner because you can just focus on that one league and not get super overwhelmed. And I would say like maybe spend like 2 or 3 hours a week. Don't go crazy. You don't have to watch all the games. You don't have to be on your phone or computer consistently. Just make sure that your lineups are set up. Pay attention to injuries. Like so, setting up your lineup is a thing that you have to do before Sunday. There hasn't been a Friday game in a long time, right?
There was some last year. I
The
thought.
COVID thing screwed everything up.
Oh yeah. So just oh yeah, no, I'm tripping. I forgot about
Or
Thursday night games.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
Thursday night
you should
games.
do it You should do it Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I kind
So
of want to comment. I don't think you need 2 to 3 hours for one league. I don't think you need 2 to 3 hours at all. And what's the other thing? Yeah, you want to make sure you set it Thursday and Sunday, and check it again Monday just in case there's other game. Any day there's a game, you want to check it before the game. But I don't think you need 2 to 3 hours unless you're counting like watching games.
Yeah, I was gonna say like watching highlights for me, but maybe
Okay.
maybe 2 to 3 hours is a little too much. Yeah, maybe like
I
an
think you
hour.
can, because you can do stuff like that, like watch highlights, listen to podcasts. Like you can do all that stuff. Like, for our line of work that we've been in, I've just been able to throw podcasts on in the background while I work. So people might not be able to do that at work. And I don't think you really have to, but I guess I'd recommend it. I mean, we're on a fantasy football podcast. I recommend listening to us.
No,
I don't think
you'd win your league if you listen to us. That's all there is to it.
Our podcasts are normally like an hour to an hour and a half, so I think that's all you really need per week. Just listen to us. On the real, I think probably an hour max is what, probably even less. I would say like an hour for like one league. If you want to like listen to some look at some videos, listen to some podcasts, that's for beginner. I think that's all you need, but you can go more if you want.
I
it doesn't
definitely
take too much time.
Yeah, I think I'm just intimidated because Chuck obviously loves fantasy football so much. So to be like, oh, I definitely don't think I could put in like the 5 hours a week time commitment that he does to football.
See, the funny thing is, you could just set your lineup and then watch like one YouTube video, listen to one podcast, and one guy's opinion about how well they think certain people are going to do. Chuck can look at 5-6 hours a week of all these different highlights, and you could blow Chuck out that week by 50
right.
points. It's so random that it's were you gonna say, Chuck?
Oh no, I was just gonna say yeah, exactly. Like it really doesn't matter. Like a big reason why I spend so much time in it is because I do like the stats aspect of it, and I do like how things kind of turn up together, and I do like the roster aspect of it, and like gathering a good team. And you're like, wow, I am stacked at this. I might lose, but who cares?
Yeah,
I have a
Well, it's
shiny
also
Christian
something you
McCaffrey.
enjoy.
Yeah.
right. Like I really like football, and I used to only watch the Eagles, but fantasy football got me into being interested in other teams because I want to see how my guys are doing.
Yeah, that's a
And
really good
now,
point.
now if I not even, even if I don't have like people on either team, like I'm more interested in watching other games because even I might have had those players before. I know their stories from following them and listening to podcasts and news about them. Whether I was like worried if they would play that week or how contracts turned out. Like I'm just more invested in football all around now. So I think that leads me to listen to all these different types of media and follow all of it more heavily. But for fantasy football purposes, you don't need to do all that. I think it does give you a bit of an advantage to have deeper stories because, now I know, oh, this guy tweaked his ankle at practice, so this guy on my team who's under him might have a deeper shot. Things like that can trickle in if you follow it closely, but you don't need to. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I have two follow-up questions. One, you all mentioned several times about setting your line. I'm not positive what that is. And then two, my second follow-up question that Julian kind of gave his opinion on so far, but like, how do you think fantasy football has affected your watching of football? Like, do you think it makes it less or more enjoyable? Are you like more distracted because you care about how certain players perform rather than how the game turns out in general?
So to answer your first question, setting your lineup is mostly so you have your optimized lineup. You have your RB1, your RB2, and RB3, and your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, all your flex options, all that stuff. So in general, you want to have your optimized lineup every week, but there's bye weeks. Teams can't play every week, so that sucks. People have to have breaks. So on a player's bye week, a team's bye week, that player is not going to be able to play, so you have to replace that player with whoever's underneath them. So, oh yeah, I consider this person the RB2, so he's going to be RB1 this week. RB3 is going to be RB2, and just kind of moves up like that. It's like a hierarchy. Another big thing is like flex. Flex is like you kind of have like to think a little harder. You're like, oh, do I put in I have a really strong second tight end. Do I put him in? Do I just put my RB3? Do I just put like a fringe RB? Like, there's a lot of ways to go about it. But saying your lineup is very important, and it's also matchup dependent as well. So like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna have a good game against the Cowboys, so you might as well start him because the Cowboys defense sucks. Maybe not this year, but last year, of course.
So to follow up with that, we've kind of touched on like drafting and like who you should draft, but I thought I'm confused as to the number of positions that you guys recommend to draft. Like how many running backs, because you guys said they score really well as compared to you said you can only draft one quarterback, and then can you only draft one defense?
Sorry, you can only start one quarterback and start one defense, but you can draft as many as you want of any position. You can draft 12 quarterbacks, but you can only start one of them.
I think there are roster limits on some positions, so I think
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think you can have like 4 quarterbacks, but you're not going to want that. That's useless and it wastes
Yeah, exactly.
spots.
Do you have like a number of like total spots? Like if you draft 4 quarterbacks, will you not have room to draft your extra running backs? Like do you have like a
Correct.
hard limit almost?
There is, yeah. You have like a certain amount of bench positions. Usually it's like 6 or 7. So you fill out your starting lineup and then you have your bench spots. And that's where your subs would go. So if someone has a bye week or someone gets hurt or something like that, you can swap them out with someone who's been on your bench. Or
Gotcha.
they've just been playing really bad and you just want to take them out.
So including like your bench spots, is it like an average of like 20?
I think it's 15.
15, yeah.
15.
I think if you include, it's around 15.
Okay, that's a lot less to like juggle and handle than I thought. I thought you were going to each have like 24 people, and I was going to have to know what was going on with everybody. But 15 is a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
Oh, to your commissioner, I think.
It depends how your league is set up, yeah. Like the commissioner is the person who runs the league, so it's kind of based on what they set up as the rules. Obviously, in most leagues, you can argue with them and be like, "This is dumb. You should change this."
Yeah. What do you guys think about her other question about how it helps you or hinders your watching fantasy regular football?
I think I watch a lot more games because of fantasy football, and I get to watch a lot of games that like football is weird because not every game is created equal. Some games are boring as hell, and some games are like the Browns versus the Ravens last year. um, a big thing with fantasy football for me is like I started rooting for players that I've never thought I would ever root for before. For my big year when I actually won a championship, I rooted for Aaron Jones every single game, and I was really hyped about him. Aaron Jones is on the Packers. I could care less about the Packers. I hate Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Jones, I became a fan. I was almost willing to buy like a fake jersey of his just because like, damn, you really carried me.
Discounted jersey.
Not a real one, though.
Not a real one. That's a lot of money.
But yeah, I feel the same way about fantasy football. It's really given me a new appreciation. I follow all these games. I'm really invested into it. Yeah, and I just have my guys I root for. It does. Sometimes I get a little angry when I have a wide receiver on the team, and then the other wide receiver that week scores the touchdown. I get like, oh, my guy's wide open, throw it to him instead. That's what how I react and stuff like that. But it's a lot of fun, and it gets me like my whole Sunday and now Thursday and Saturday and all the days they play just get more exciting.
Yeah, I'm with you, Greg. Like, I like that I get to watch more football now, and I enjoy it. But sometimes, yeah, I get really mad watching it not go the way I want it for my fantasy.
Yeah.
So I think it's more enjoyable for the later games because if the fantasy matchup's already out of hand, and you can just like watch and enjoy a spectacle. But like one of the greatest games I ever saw was the Chiefs Rams from like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I had Pat Mahomes, my opponent had Jared Goff, and they both put up over 50 points. So it was already a great game, and I was like my quarterback versus their quarterback, so I was rooting for the Chiefs heavy. So I like enhanced the experience for me, I think. But sometimes it can, take away from the actual game if you're just like, Juju, why are you dropping these balls instead of just like watching the Steelers fight a nice game against the Browns or something.
Yeah.
So, another thing I was going to mention, if you ever get mad at a player, just DM them on Twitter or just mention them.
No, I'm not even gonna let that joke fly. Never at players, never talk to players on social media. Leave it the fuck alone. Their job is not your fantasy team.
Definitely don't send hate. No one deserves that online.
Aw, that's very wholesome. I was kidding. Do not DM or at anyone on Twitter, please. Unless
Can't
it's
let that joke
something
fly.
kind.
So yeah.
Unless
If you wanna be
yeah, like, oh, thank you, CMC, for another great week. Keep up the good work.
and donate
Unless
to their
it's the
charities.
Dragonfire Fantasy Football Podcast Twitter,
Oh,
then you can DM them.
you are the best guest we've ever had.
Yeah, feel free to talk to us.
Yeah. Right. Do you have any other questions, or we're gonna kick you off?
I don't think so. I think that was a pretty good question to end on.
Are you ready to dominate your league?
I wouldn't say dominate. I would say I'm at least ready to try.
Oh, good. Okay,
That's all you need.
the first step. It's
And then
fun.
when I do dominate, it'll be a fun surprise.
Good.
This game's gonna turn Kate into a monster.
Yeah. If I'm already competitive with board games, we'll wait and see for fantasy football.
Oh,
Plus,
man.
I have a really awesome podcast to listen to during work now.
Aw.
There you go.
All right. Well, Thank you for coming on, Kate. We really appreciate you. So have a great day.
Thanks for having me and for teaching me about fantasy football.
No problem.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Gabe.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, we're gonna get on to the NFC South. We're gonna be covering from worst standings to best standings. So we'll start with the Falcons. Free agent signings, not too many, but they had a pretty big draft, I think. I would not think, but I would suppose. So in their draft, with their fourth pick, they got Kyle Pitts, tight end. People are saying probably the best non-QB in the draft, maybe even best player in the draft. I don't know about all that. They got offensive tackle in the third round for Michigan, and then they got a wide receiver in the sixth round, who's probably never going to see the field because
You
he's
could see the
Bar-
field, from the sideline.
from his TV. They definitely had like a heavier defensive draft, and like they definitely needed to do that. Their defense was pretty bad
It
last
was
year.
porous.
Yeah, I mean, they got the best player at their position at tight end. Best player available. Picked them. I know. I don't know how well he's going to do this year. As studies have shown, first round. I mean, he's in a good offense, so who knows? But I think they addressed some of their needs.
A kid,
For sure.
So.
I mean, he's like a tight end, like first. He was a draft that's the highest ever, fourth round
Fourth
pick.
overall.
Yeah.
It would pick for a tight end ever. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone could do it's him. Yeah.
Hey,
So
There are other AJ McCarron who should never see the field. RB Mike Davis is a name that you should remember. And Kyle Pitts, Julio, but I don't think he's leaving. And they picked up Ridley's fifth-year option. Obviously, be ashamed to let him go.
very true. All right.
yeah, it's a tough call. It's hard to put him over some of these other guys, but he definitely is in a high-powered offense. Everything is lined up for him to have a great year. As long as Julio is healthy, which that's a big ask, but that could be he could be a sneaky pick in the later rounds to if you want to get some other positional players. It's not bad at all for your team.
Yeah. He's probably towards the end of who I'd accept as my quarterback. I had him last year, and I feel like he burned me a lot of weeks. You'd think, Matt Ryan will be lights out most of the time with that offense, especially if their defense is improved. Who knows if we'll have to do as much? So I think he's okay at 14, but I'll probably look elsewhere.
Completely fair. I don't think we all have any hope for his backup. I don't even know I see his name. I just never heard of him. AJ McCarron.
Was he drafted by the Bengals? He's just there for a while.
The Bengals or the Browns? He's
30? Oh man.
That's what Yeah. He's definitely not a pickup. If Matt Ryan goes down, God forbid, I don't think anyone's going to be picking up AJ McCarron.
No, definitely not.
I mean, with all that talent, I think you have to be desperate.
Yeah, you have to be pretty desperate. I agree. So, okay, let's go to running back, and let's talk about Mike Davis, who we're all pretty high on. Mike Davis, he had a breakout year last year with MCM. Wait.
CMC.
CMC. Why do I always say MCM? So with Christian McCaffrey being down, he kind of took the reins last year, and he really showed that he can be a RB1. And yeah, he was the 18th best running back last year, and now experts have him as RB27, and you can get him in the early 7th round. And I think you can. I would not be another guy that I think is undervalued. You can definitely having Mike Davis as your RB2 is pretty amazing. So I don't know. This is someone you got to keep your eyes out for.
I agree 100%. Mike Davis, he's going to be the steal of the draft if things shape up this way. Like, you could get some 3-stud receivers, 3-stud running backs in the first 6 rounds, and get Davis to round it out. Be in real good shape.
I don't know if it was a figure of speech, but I wouldn't draft him as your second running back. I think he'll end up as an RB2, but I think you can get him way later just from the low amount of hype on him. So I'm not sure where you want to try to grab him. So do some mocks, figure it out. I got to do some more myself, but definitely try to get him on your team.
Yeah.
Don't take him too high.
The other nice thing is, like, they didn't draft a running back at all. So they're really just depending on him.
I'm pretty sure they don't even have a back. Oh, they have JV Hawkins. He's like their only other guy on the roster.
I think they also have Cordell Patterson. Oh, sorry, that's a wide receiver, right?
He's everything, kind of. He's been everything for the Bears, which is, I don't know. We'll get some running back snaps, but I don't think he's like a big threat to Mike Davis' snap count.
Yeah, Davis is going to be the guy for sure.
For sure. All right.
AJ McCarron was drafted by the Bengals, by the way. So over here.
Nice research.
Thank you.
So the wide receiver group.
So there is some talks that the Falcons might trade for a running back. So if that happens, then Mike Davis, obviously, his value would go away.
Really? I have not heard these rumors. Who's in talk?
I heard that potentially someone. It's not like they're not like strong rumors. People just talk about it. But like if Melvin Gordon got traded since they drafted a guy in the second round,
man,
he could potentially go to Atlanta, and it would make sense if that happened.
That would be miserable.
It'd be great for Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
So,
but I would not be happy if I had Mike Davis and that happens.
Not at all.
Yeah. So right now, would you guys say this is the best wide receiver group? Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Russell Gage. I say no, just because I think, and I hate to admit it, Dallas is slightly better.
I don't think Dallas is better.
You don't think Dallas is better? Ooh, okay.
I don't think Dallas is better than Atlanta for a wide receiver core.
Really?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly stand on that. No,
I
guess Julio's always a little hurt. But I think, Julio over Amari would be the general consensus. I think Ridley over Gallup. And then you could say Lamb. You could say Lamb over Gage if you want. But, I think the top two are pretty clearly better for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Dang, okay. Wow. And then, I disagree. But what do you think, Greg?
I think I would say that Lamb would be the number 2 guy, but I do think that like Julio and Ridley would outpace like Cooper and Gallup, or Cooper and Lamb, and then the third receiver. Obviously Gallup is better than Gage,
right?
I'd say, but yeah, it's hard to think of a better combo than these 2 guys, Ridley and Julio.
That's true.
As long as Julio's healthy, they're going to put up huge numbers every year.
Unless you want to say Thielen Jefferson, I think
that's really good
Atlanta.
Too. Yeah, but who's their number 3 even?
I think you really only need 2.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you think this wide receiver group gets worse with Kyle Pitts? Not worse, obviously, but do they see?
You're talking about for fantasy, right?
Yeah, for fantasy. Obviously with Pitts, they're gonna be a better team.
According to Greg, Pitts isn't going to be on the field at all, so I don't know.
I think he'll be on the field as long as he's going to get a lot of catches.
What if he just blocks every single time, never ever touches the ball?
That'd be a waste. I think, I don't know. I think if the defense is mightily improved, I think that's a bigger detriment to the receiver core than Pitts. I think, they're still going to sling it a lot. So, I think they're going to be where they were last year.
Let me just cover numbers real quick. So Calvin Ridley, wide receiver 8. You can get him the early 3rd round. Julio Jones, wide receiver 13, mid 4th, and then Russell Gage, wide receiver 75. Don't pick up unless Julio's hurt, God forbid.
I think I'm going to have Julio on a lot of my teams this year.
Oh, do you
We'll
think
see
he's
if
going
that
to
happens.
slide?
I just, last year, people were taking him in like the second round. I don't think if he's healthy, he's going to be great, Get him in like the fourth or fifth round, wherever he ends up falling. Because people
It's a
think
big
he's
if,
old.
though.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to end up seeing him there and seeing like other names and be like, well, it's freaking Julio. Got to go with him.
I think we're going to have to do a do not draft list at some point in the future. And I think Julio's on mine. I love him and I root for him. But I think with his injuries, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, another thing that scares me about Julio is he never sees the end zone. Like he's
that was just 1 year, right? Like I wasn't.
That was 2 years. That was last year and the year before. Like when he was healthy the year before, I had Julio and I saw that. I was like, wow, he's getting the points because he gets a lot of receptions, but he just never sees the end zone.
See, I don't draft him, so I don't know.
Last year he did pretty okay with it. He had in his limited games he had 5 touchdowns, I think, which is not bad.
Not bad at all.
I feel like that's bad for what you spend on
he's gonna have a great
Julio.
year if he's healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no one saw that he was gonna his ankle, not his ankle. What was his injury?
Hamstring. He
His
just
hamstring.
couldn't ever run. He kept trying to fight through it and just kept getting hurt.
Yeah. We hope to see him back on the field. Okay. And going back to the promised child, Kyle Pitts, 20 years old. That's kind of crazy. I'm not saying obviously all the draft guys are really young, but he's one of the younger guys in that group too. The average age is 21. So yeah, tight end number 10. If you have him, he's very startable. You can get him in the early 12th round. Greg is a little low on him. We're gonna keep mentioning you, Greg.
Everyone was super high on guys like T.J. Hawkinson, Noah Fant, all those guys, and look what happened to them. Their first year, terrible.
Kyle Pitts, bro.
You had one good week, and then you're like, "Oh man, he's gonna be great." And it was disappointing the rest of the year. Just because it's Kyle Pitts, I don't think it's gonna be any different.
Dang. Okay. We should have fake bets. We should all have oh yeah, I'll on Skip and Shannon's show where they bet diet do. We should do that. We should have our own little predictions about what's going on. Because I really disagree. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a top 10 tight end next year.
You won't bet me your Dogecoin?
Oh. So what is Dogecoin right now? I would bet a Dogecoin. 50 cents.
It's about the value,
watch
bro.
Dogecoin go. Yeah, watch Dogecoin crawl up to 100.
I'm sorry, this is not the type of pod. I shouldn't have said that.
And we're all not high on Hayden-Hurst. I don't think he's gonna definitely be the backup tight end, but even if you.
Is it really definite that he'll be the backup? I mean, he's been in the system. He knows everything. He's established from last year. I think Pitts just gonna jump him.
I think by the end of the season, yeah. The fact that they didn't pick up his 5th-year option is pretty telling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or was it a 5th-year option? Or was it an extension?
No, you're right.
They didn't pick him up. Okay, cool. They didn't pick him up, so I feel like they're obviously transitioning to Pitts for the future. So I feel like he'll get more looks, if not right away, towards the end of the year.
Like Pat McAfee would say, he's out of town.
Well, I don't. So I wouldn't want to spend, a pick on Pitts if he's gonna have a rocky first start of the year. Maybe I would trade for him halfway through the season, but he's gonna have to take some time to learn the offense and stuff like that. So, if anything, so I don't think he's gonna have a great beginning of the year.
So they do have him at 10 overall, which is projected tight end 1, and as we me, I'm high on Pitts, but we saw my mock last week. He was my second tight end. I'm not sure how comfortable I would be, like you said, having as my starting tight end throughout the whole year. I could see myself doing it if all the guys I like are gone. but I wouldn't feel comfortable going in with him as my one off the bat, just because we don't know how that's going to shake out, really. But I do. Most people don't like having 2 tight ends on the team, but I don't mind it, and I would love to have Pitts as that second tight end in case he does blow up, which I feel like he will by the end of the year.
I don't even think by the end, dude. I really think like after 2 or 3 games, he's gonna blow up. I'm really high on Pitts. I think he's gonna be like a generational talent.
Well, we will see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll bet 5 cases of Diet Dew.
You gotta come with like a real bet.
Yeah, I know, like a real bet. I'll bet you a Dogecoin.
I'll
No.
bet you a Dogecoin.
Right now, not like a Dogecoin, like God forbid it blows up to $100.
I will bet you 1 Dogecoin right this minute.
Okay.
And Kyle Pitts is not a top.
All right, let's do this for real. Okay, I'm saying right now, Kyle Pitts is going to be definitely a top 10 tight end.
Yeah, I firmly believe he'll be outside the top 10 this year.
All right, that's the bet.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I have him. Oh man, I wish we said 12. Yeah, I'll take that he finishes in the top 10.
Cool. All right, me and Julian top 10. Greg outside.
All right.
So yeah,
Ready?
Chuck, make a channel for bets.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, this is gonna be great. Okay, I'll put that in right now.
Wages. We'll figure out wages later.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. So I have his name. Don't worry. I'm gonna add the information after we go through all the teams in the division. So let's get on to the Panthers. Panthers had a pretty busy draft for offense. Just going through it right now. So, second round pick, they picked Terrence Marshall Jr. out of LSU. Not the big guy out of LSU, but the other big guy out of LSU. A tackle from BYU, tight end from Notre Dame, running back who's probably never going to see the field, but I mean, he has a really awesome name. Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma. They got a guard in the 6th round from Alabama, and they got a wide receiver. They got a wide receiver from South Carolina. Everything all good on your end, Julian?
Yeah, sorry, I went to go on the bets channel. I guess I backed out too far. I'm here.
Yeah.
Though.
Cool. All right, we'll just edit this part out anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting off with their team, they acquired Sam Darnold in the offseason. Sam Darnold's only 23 years old. Oh, man. Yeah, right now he's going to be he's according to experts, the 27th QB off the board. He's not worth it, but he might have a big year. What do you guys feel about Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with him as my QB1 to start the year, but I think he could do well. I think that his receivers, I don't think they take a huge ding. I don't think they take a ding at all. I like Teddy Bridgewater, but I think Sam could have a turnaround. Maybe we could see the Sam Darnold that was foretold. He was drafted so high in 2017, was it? We'll see. Wait, 2018.
Yeah. I'm with you with Darnold. I don't think he's going to do anything special. You know, he's not going to be some prolific guy now that he left. What's his name? Adam Gase. I know there's been a lot of good stories about people leaving, like Ryan Tannehill and who's the running back? Well, Kenyon Drake was really good for like 1 year, but I don't think Darnold's going to do anything crazy from what we've seen him with the Jets. It's moving to a pretty similar team. I
don't think he'll be nearly as bad as he was. I don't think he'll jump to where as good as Ryan Tannehill is for fantasy, but I do think he will do better.
Yeah. He's got some good talent around him for sure. DJ Moore's the huge playmaker, so he can get him like a couple slants and just take him to the house. You know, so that's going to help Darnold's numbers, but he's probably going to be a mid-20. Maybe he might finish as the 20th best, but I don't see him much higher than that.
Yeah, 20th sounds right. One thing I will say about Sam Darnold is he is the same age as Joe Burrow. And I mean, Joe Burrow already looks a little better than Sam Darnold, but he's still young, is what I'm saying. Like,
that's true.
Yeah, 20, like coming up on 24, and like he's still young. He can still show up. I have hope for him, and maybe like the memes about him leaving Adam Gase are gonna come true. Running backs, yeah, let's skip this guy. He's not that good. He's
I've seen better.
I've seen
I thought
better.
you were talking about Chuba Hubbard. I was like, that's disrespectful. We don't know anything about him. But, yeah, we don't really have to talk about CMC. But
Yeah, we've already harped on, not harped. Harped is a negative word. It's Christian McCaffrey is obviously RB1, number one pick in the draft. If you get Christian McCaffrey, he's a setter and forget it. We've said this so many times. It's not to discredit him. He's an amazing player, but obviously. And Trevor Hubbard, running back 82. Don't do it.
Yeah,
He's
I
not.
mean, he's only there as a handcuff in case he's going to fill out the Mike Davis role if CMC gets hurt for any reason. So that's pretty much, if you draft CMC, be sure to draft Hubbard, or else you're going to be sorry if he gets hurt.
Yeah. Hopefully, last year was just an outlier.
yeah, I would think so. No, Tony Pollard is someone you want to get. Alexander Madison is someone you might want to get later. I don't think this guy's someone you want to get.
Wow,
I'm sorry. That wasn't a shot
shade,
at you.
the shade. I'm just getting cold, bro. I can't believe this is.
I do think that was dumb, but it wasn't. This time it wasn't a shot.
I haven't done enough mock drafts. I don't even know these players' names. No, that, and looking back at it, my draft was pretty bad. And maybe like I was too like freaked out about Sleeper. I've never used it before, so I was like, oh man, this is really nice. And I was just infatuated by the graphics. That's why I didn't do well.
I think they also recently updated their ADP. So if we do another mock draft on there, we might be a little more accurate.
Ooh, I can just let the computer make my decisions for me.
Alexander Madison in the 5th.
I
Is that
can't.
where?
I don't
I
think
think
it was
so.
that high.
Nah, yeah, it must have. It could have been 5th actually. I don't know. I'm already been made fun of too much today.
I'm going to the YouTube. I'm gonna check this out.
All right, let's get to the wide receiver group real quick. Robbie Anderson, great long friend of Sam Darnold. We probably left the Jets so he can get away from him. And DJ Moore and their new guy Terrence Marshall Jr. So the best guy in this group is definitely DJ Moore. He's the 18th wide receiver off the board. He's an early 5th round pick. Robbie Anderson's the 35th wide receiver, and then he's a mid 9th. Terrence, oh sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, Terrace Marshall.
Not worth it. 91st off the board. I don't think he even climbs that high after, God forbid, Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore go away. So yeah, they also have David Moore, so that's going to be pretty confusing.
Yeah, try to trick your league mates. It's try to trade David Moore, thinking it's DJ Moore. That would
Dude,
be
give me D Moore, bro. D Moore.
That's a dirty move. That's a dirty move.
Oh my god, that's a dirty move. And yeah, do you guys have anything to add about this group? DJ Moore was pretty. DJ Moore's still so young, man. 23. I feel like he's been in the league for so long.
You
Maybe I'm
drafted
going.
Madison in the 9th round, 2 rounds before Tony Pollard.
9th is not too bad.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah. Still not the best move. I'll admit,
Yeah.
not the hottest draft.
That's why we mock, baby.
That's why we mock.
I like my draft more after I listen to it.
Yeah. Did you watch the YouTube video or did you listen? Because I
The
like
Spotify
the
guy.
Spotify guy. I got you.
I mean, for this, I should have watched the YouTube, but I was driving.
No, it's okay.
Going back to the Panthers receivers, I think there's not a huge gap in the production from Moore and Anderson, and I feel like Anderson, showed well last year. I feel like I'd rather, if I'm going to go with one of these guys, I'd just take the shot on the later guy in Robbie Anderson, because I don't think it's going to be too different between these two guys. So that's how I would go if I was approaching the draft.
Yeah, maybe Sam Darnold still has some chemistry with Robbie Anderson as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe Robbie Anderson really hates him. And he's like, God damn it, he follows me everywhere I go.
Yeah, I'd be kind of pissed if I was Robbie Anderson, but maybe Sammy steps up.
Maybe they're pen pals. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Tight ends, ignore. Don't Dan Arnold. No
They
way.
got Dan Arnold. Nice.
Dude, they have Darnold and Dan Arnold. So funny.
That's funny.
And Ian
You
Thomas.
could try
Yes.
trade D Arnold, thinking he's a quarterback.
I'm not sure who would want to trade for either of them, to be honest.
Oh my god, that's so
We'll
funny.
see. I thought Ian Thomas was all right. I thought he was just kind of hurt. Maybe I'm misremembering, but they got him below Dan Arnold. The depth
Ian
chart
Thomas was not good.
was not good. I thought he was like behind Greg Olsen or something. Like,
No, not last year. Ian Thomas had it all to himself and
He just-
did nothing.
was healthy.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
You sure he didn't have the Rona? Like he's didn't
Yeah,
perform.
he just was not good.
Tough.
And-
All right.
I think they also have a very raw tight end in the draft. They got Tommy Tremble.
Yeah,
So-
I hear he's a big blocker. I don't know if he's going to do too much on offense, but
Yeah,
he's really good blocking.
Yeah. Not that exciting fantasy wise.
Yeah, good for CMC though.
Good for CMC. All right. Anything you guys want to talk about the Panthers? Do you guys think they're going to be better this year? Probably not. I think they're going to be like the average, like 8 and 9.
Yeah, something like that. I could see that. Nothing crazy. I
Nothing
don't
crazy.
think they're going to win the division.
I know-
Definitely not. Well, the division's
Definitely
pretty
not.
tough. So
Yeah.
It is.
All right.
Next team, the Bucks did the most in free agency, actually. In this division.
Well, they brought a lot of people back too, right? They brought
They
everyone
did.
back.
You know what? Didn't do that much. All right. I just had people they brought back. Yeah, they got Brady's back. He's older, but I did see something about how once he claimed that he learned the offense like halfway through the year, his numbers after that point were way better. So he might actually move up my board a little bit. But they brought back all 22 starters, like both sides of the board. Nothing really changed. They have backup running backs they brought in, including the mustache, Giovanni Bernard, and CJ Procise. I'm not sure how much they'll see the field, with Lenny and I think Rojo's still there, right?
Yeah,
So,
Rojo's still there too.
I'm not sure how much the other guy's going to see the field.
Yeah, I heard the same report as you, Julian. Like how he didn't understand the Bruce Arians offense at first, and then he picked it. Like he finally understood it, and then went crazy.
His pace from that point on was ridiculous. So
He did throw 3 interceptions that Packers game. I'm not going to forget that.
it should have been more. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
But yeah, he's also going to play till he's 50, so he's still in his prime. So
It's still in his.
Technically, yeah.
All right, let's talk about their draft. So they got Kyle Trask in the second round. I don't know why I'm laughing. QB, he's probably gonna play in like 10 years because Tom Brady's never gonna let him play. They got a guard out of Notre Dame, and then they got another wide receiver, and they're already pretty good wide receiver group. So yeah, I don't think any of these guys are gonna really take over anyone else's spots. Tom Brady, he's a bum. QB 10, early 10th round. Yeah, he's okay. The only downside to Tom Brady is like, yeah, obviously he's getting old, but like every year we just keep getting proven wrong and wrong. And like Julian said, like if he does like have a better idea, like understanding on the playbook and Bruce Arians' offense, maybe he's the even higher pick. But age scares me, but I shouldn't be. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I try to get 2 quarterbacks. I don't think you'll get Brady as your second quarterback. Either you believe in him or you don't. And I honestly think if you believe in him, you'll be very happy. The age is just staring me in the face. I don't know if I would take him. I think if you do, you'll be happy. I think I'd rather go with a younger guy. And I sound stupid saying that, doubting him still, but I would prefer someone else. I think he is ridiculous. I think he'll be happy if you grab him.
Yeah.
Still, somehow, I don't get it.
He's on my dynasty team, so I'm hoping he has another great year.
Attaboy. So
Oh
you
my
don't have to spend a pick on him. I guess you did draft this year, but you don't still have to spend a pick on him. I think that's a lot easier for you to make that decision.
Yeah, I think he is gonna have a good year though. He's got like all his weapons are back. He knows the offense. They don't really have any
Protect him
holes
so well.
anywhere. Yeah. So I think expect more of what was last year, which was a really good year.
So just getting into this right now. So this is kind of an important thing. Right now, if you had to have one of their running backs, would you rather have Leonard Fournette or Rojo? So I feel just like because they've had very comparable they have very comparable stats last year, but Rojo was a lot better in the regular season, but Leonard Fournette really showed up in playoffs in the Super Bowl. So is Leonard going to be the guy moving forward, or is it going to be Rojo again?
Do you think they went Rojo heavy to save Fournette or have Fournette learn the system better?
Oh man, that's a lot of hindsight, but I could see that.
Because he was kind of injury prone before that year, right? So maybe they were saying less reps, we'll use him, we'll run him into the dirt in the playoffs, which they did, and he scored every single playoff game, right? I think he scored every single playoff game.
I think you're right. I do think
that's why they started calling him. Yeah, that's why I started calling him Playoff Lenny. I don't know. That's just me throwing that out there. I think maybe he was also just trying to learn the offense. I don't think it would take him a whole year though.
It's weird. Like Rojo, he's got the youth. He has some huge games. Like he had one game where he had 250 yards or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're gonna get that from Leonard Fournette anytime soon. He's kind of old and slow, but he just looks so good in the playoffs. I kind of would just avoid that situation if I had to. I think
he's younger than you are.
He's younger than us. Don't say it. I think Leonard Fournette's also younger than us.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, both. It's crazy.
Oh, Greg called him old. I'm like, he's probably younger than you.
Yeah, why are you calling Leonard Fournette old, bro?
He's actually 4 months older than me, so he's old.
Super old.
The beard and the bald head, he just looks old,
It's the Keenan Allen syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, he's actually 26. His notes are wrong.
It's a year off because it's from last year.
Gotcha. Well, he's older than me.
Yeah.
Also 4 months older than me. Greg, when's your birthday?
Birthday is in a week, the 22nd.
Hey, 4 days older than me.
Nice.
Him and I gang turn up.
It's worried that Junior Bernard's gonna steal some reps from them, or
I don't think he looks old enough.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. That's a tough backfield. Let's turn it into the Patriots backfield situation.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Patriots too.
Very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, I'd prefer to go elsewhere, I guess.
Yeah. All right, I have a same question but different position group. Mike Evans or Chris Godwin?
Give me Chris Godwin.
I agree. I think right now experts have Mike Evans 2 spots higher, but yeah, I agree. I'd rather go Chris Godwin. He's on a kind of a contract year because he got franchise tagged, so I think he's gonna ball out.
I'm gonna do it again, but I'm on the Mike Evans side. I think he's the type of guy Brady's gonna throw to. He trusts him in the red zone. I think he's gonna get more touchdowns. So we could have another bet just like that.
Oh, I'm not betting.
All right, let's go.
I'm out of this one.
I'll bet on this one. All right, Mike Evans versus
Just who finishes higher?
Godwin.
yeah, Godwin. All right, and okay, can we just say no? It's okay. Injury is included. Whatever.
I mean,
you
yeah,
know,
they
if
both
one of
are
them gets
equally injury prone, I would say.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. And we're not really worried about Antonio Brown stealing reps.
So that's the thing.
I mean,
Antonio
he'll steal
Brown.
some reps from both.
Yeah, exactly.
So once Brown joined and like finally got used to the team and stuff, Godwin's like targets went down and Brown's went up a lot. So that was my concern about Godwin. Because Antonio Brown, even though he's old, he's still Brady loves throwing the ball to him. So that's my concern with Godwin. So that's why I take Evans over him.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Antonio Brown has seen his days. He's a lot older now. He's 32. He's still an amazing route runner, as we saw in the Super Bowl. I think his days are kind of past him. Hate to say it.
Why?
What?
Literally, what evidence do you have that his days are past him?
I don't know. I just think he's getting a lot. I feel like he hasn't. I don't know. He doesn't look like that dominant guy. He does not look like that wide receiver one anymore.
He just broke Tyron Lue's ankles, and not Tyron Lue, Tyron Matthews. Tyron Matthew? The Chiefs cornerback we all know and love. He just broke his ankles and scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl last time we saw him.
Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was just one play. And I'm just gonna say this: like, I would be happy if he stayed, like, if he was still the guy. But now he's in a weird offense too. Like, this Bucks offense is starting to look like the Patriots offense, where it's like any guy fantasy wise can show up.
I'm not gonna say he's a wide receiver. I'm not gonna say he's like gonna finish a wide receiver one or anything. But I think to say like his days are behind him and that like made me feel like you're saying he's irrelevant or something. I'm like, I don't see any evidence to that.
Oh, I'm not saying okay. I'm not saying he's gonna be a nobody. Obviously, I'm gonna say he's like not gonna be like cover of Madden anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that's why like I don't think I don't even know how is he gonna be even top 50 wide receiver? I don't think so.
I would say he would
Fantasy
be.
top 50? He's a I don't know.
How many bets are we gonna do?
I know. How many bets are we gonna do? All right. I don't want to do one on Antonio Brown because there is also a lot of. I don't know if it looks like all the legal stuff is kind of cleared out, so that's good. But I don't want to touch it. And then we forgot to talk about the best wide receiver.
Oh. Okay, go on. Who's the best wide receiver here?
Scotty Miller. He had one really good play against the Packers, and yeah.
I shouldn't have even happened.
He's the guy now.
Yeah.
Julian
Edelman Jr.
Yeah, that's they have a lot of guys down there, and they got the rookie. So who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Okay.
How do you guys feel about Gronk?
I'm still like Gronk. I definitely wouldn't draft him. He might. I wouldn't say he's a streamer, but if he's doing good and like if he has a really strong first game, I might pick him up on the waiver wire. I want to see like one game out of him because I don't think he's going to be drafted either.
I think he's going to get drafted. He had a pretty good year last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He did have a good year, but it's like the Brady thing. It's like, and he's not even that old. It's just like he's already retired once.
Yeah, but that's because he was injury riddled and then he felt better and came back. I feel like it's a little different.
I'm just worried that he's just gonna fall back into that.
I mean, it's possible.
I think I'm too hard on people today. I know that they're gonna be a good team, and I'm not saying that like any of these guys are bad, but I'm not too high on Gronkowski this year. And I was also gonna mention OJ Howard. Do not draft. Oh man, he's burned me plenty of times. There's like glimpses of him being amazing, but yeah.
Yeah, stay away. But I think for just reference sake, I would rather have Gronk on my team than Kyle Pitts. Just because of the way He's cemented himself in the offense.
Okay, now you're getting crazy. No
Hey,
way.
He's the proven asset. He knows what he's doing. He's the only tight end there.
I can see
Him
the
and Evans
logic.
in the end zone.
I can see the logic.
Kyle Pitts still has to fight with Hayden Hurst, and Calvin Ridley and Julio are going to get their stuff over there. So it's going to be tough for Kyle Pitts to outproduce Gronk, even, I think.
I don't even know what to say. Because like now I'm just like because they also have Cameron Brate, who's not that bad either. I just think
Gronk's
that there's so
clearly
many.
the guy, though. He's the number one
There's so many
receiving option.
mouths. There's so many
I
mouths
feel
to
like
feed.
he had how many 100-yard games did Gronk have last year? No, he had one.
I don't think he had that many. Yeah, maybe one.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there are so many mouths to feed. He is Brady's guy, though, and I think he does trust him in the end zone. I traded for Gronk last year because Brady just kept finding him in the end zone. I don't really see that changing. You know, everyone got brought back, but I can see the logic. But I feel like he doesn't have the most volume out there. You know.
No, he's not a volume play, but he's going to get the touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that's why
I feel like Pitts could be a volume. Like Pitts could be somewhat of a volume guy.
Yeah, he might be. I just don't see Pitts in that role. At least the first year.
It's
So,
still
we'll
your Pokemon cards or something, man. What did he do to you?
I'm just trying to get it out there that a lot of people are really high on these rookies, and it doesn't always pan out well.
All right, Chuck. Who's the rookie that you hate?
That I hate.
'Cause we all have our rookies that we don't like.
No, I don't hate any of the rookies. I always feel very optimistic about rookies.
Okay.
Every year, I think that a rookie is going to be like top 10, and then I draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire and then cry my eyes out.
Remind me.
Yeah, like last year there was Clyde, Judy, Ruggs, Rager, all these guys. There's obviously some guys who hit, but you never know.
This year it's going to be Najee Harris. Everyone is already hyping him up like crazy. Like I saw reports that he's like lining up as wide receiver. I'm like, is this just like the thing now? Everyone's lining up a wide receiver.
I did just see a report that ETN is lining up a wide receiver, so I think that's just a wave.
It's going to be like basketball. It's going to be a positionless game. Everyone's going to play everything.
All right. Anyway,
but Najee does have some struggles.
Oh yeah, because he's gonna have to play for the Steelers, and that O line is not looking good.
Non-existent.
Yeah, because their center retired, Pouncey.
Yeah, and they lost one of the. I think it's the Denver signed Villanueva. I think he was one of their guards. I don't know.
Respectfully, I think we're like 3 episodes ahead of ourselves here.
But yeah,
Sure,
we'll get into that.
Oh, but can we quickly talk about just because we're talking about tight ends right now, and you guys have heard the news about Calvin Benjamin and Tim Tebow. They're definitely outside top. They're not going to be even top 20 tight ends, right? Or am I going crazy?
No, you're right. I don't
It's
see
not
them getting
crazy at all,
anything. I don't think they're going to have any playing time.
Out of football for a long time. I'm happy for Alvin Benjamin. I know he had like a bunch of weight struggles, and now he's getting back in the league. That's good for him. I'm happy for Tebow getting another shot at the league. Good for him. There's a lot of other conversations around it, but whatever. I don't think that they'll be fantasy relevant.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not even on Draft Wizards. I'm trying to look them up, and I don't see them ranked anywhere.
I was gonna say, did you guys see like the prop bet for Tim Tebow? It's like plus or minus 12 yards. Yeah, for the year.
I would take the under.
I was gonna take the over. not too much over. I think legitimately like 20 yards.
I'm gonna take whatever money I would throw on that stupid bet and add it to my Chargers bet.
Wait, so are you the over or the under?
For Tentiba?
Yeah, 12 over or under 12 yards.
I don't know, man.
It's hard.
Such a low number, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm not gonna answer.
It's completely fair. All right, let's get to the Saints right now. So
Yeah.
they drafted Ian Book, quarterback from Notre Dame in the 4th round, and they got Quan Baker, wide receiver out of South Alabama. So their
And
team
then
is not.
free agency, they lost Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Drew Brees retired, but they signed Nick Van at tight end.
Yep. Yeah, their team is going to look a lot different this year with either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill taking the leads. We've talked about this before. I would prefer Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill, but we've seen Jameis Winston. He'll have good weeks, but he'll throw crazy interceptions too. So, yeah, I guess it's gonna be a dumb question, but Winston or Taysom Hill?
Yeah, I was previously on the Taysom Hill train, but I feel like it's going to be Jameis. I want it to be Taysom Hill so badly, though.
Nah, Jameis.
Jameis. He had LASIK surgery. He's gonna see everything now.
That's true. He was blind.
Yeah.
How could he be any worse?
He threw 30 touchdowns blind. Come on.
Don't
I
forget.
see
Don't.
only room to go up.
Okay, and let's talk about Alvin Kamara, who's kind of sliding on some boards. He's a running back 5 now, and you can get him with the 5th overall pick. I think that he might be undervalued. I can see him being the 4th or 3rd, and people wouldn't look at you wise. I'm personally a little down on him just because I think that Jameis Winston is gonna slow down the offense a little bit. Like it's gonna be a huge downgrade from Jameis Winston to from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston. So this offense might take a hit. And Latavius Murray is still there, and yeah, that's their room. Latavius Murray is a good handcuff, though.
Yeah, I like Alvin Kamara a lot, even though the offense is obviously not going to be as prolific. I think he's still going to get his catches, just like last year. They started throwing him the ball. There was a period of time when Taysom Hill was the quarterback where he had like no targets or something crazy, like 1 target in a couple games or something.
Yeah.
But I think they started to turn that around. They realized him and Michael Thomas are really their only options. So I think he's going to have a good year, despite the quarterback change. I like him a lot. I would pick him as anywhere in the top 5. Well, as high as 3, I would take Kamara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool. Wide receivers, nothing really to write home about. Michael Thomas.
Do you want to talk about Latavius Murray at all?
Yeah, sure. I like I said, I think he's a really strong handcuff, and I've had him as
Yeah.
a handcuff for Alvin Kamara, and I've always been pretty happy. He's had his games where he really stood out.
Yeah, I think he's a fine guy to have as your backup. Got some flex value on his own, I think.
Yeah. He is kind of scary because you might not see the field at all because Kamara might just be having an amazing game. But if you're in a deep league, Murray at flex isn't crazy.
I feel like he normally sees the field at some points. He might not get any high value touches, but
Yeah. I think if like Kamara's hot, I don't think Murray sees the ball that much. From what I remember, like that crazy game Kamara had last year, I don't even think Murray stepped on the field.
I mean,
But
it was a crime that they did give a touchdown to Taysom Hill. I feel like they could have given that to Murray.
I know.
But, I think it was a crime to not let Alvin break the record or go for the record there. But,
Taysom needs to eat.
as a Kamara owner last year, I did think that Murray did have his fair amount of vultures.
Yeah.
So
That is very true. Like, you kind of do get the more gist when you own the like. I've only owned Alvin Kamara 1 year. God, that sounds so bad to say. I've had Alvin Kamara on my team. I should not say I've owned Alvin Kamara. What the fuck is wrong with me?
I don't think it was weird until you pointed it out.
Yeah, but it was an intrusive thought, so I said it.
That's fair.
And then yeah, I think it is easier to tell. Like, oh yeah, when you see a player, my example, like, oh yeah, I saw Aaron Jones, and I would scream my head off when I saw Jamal Williams on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. On the wide receivers.
They only have one notable one, Michael Thomas, wide receiver 11. I'm really high on him. I think he's going to be a top 5 receiver this year, just because who else are they going to be throwing it to? Unless Traquan Smith and Callaway really stand out this year, I don't know. I think Michael Thomas is going to be like the slot-o-matic guy. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be good. You know, that's what he's good at, and he's going to thrive in that role. He's still a top receiver. He was just, I think people are a lot lower on him. I mean, just 2 years ago, he was the number 1 wide receiver, obviously with Drew Brees, but I think he can still put up huge numbers. He was just hurt all last year, so I don't anticipate him being that hurt again this year. I think he's going to come back, and I mean, he could easily break into the top 5, but it depends on the quarterback situation, so people are going to be a little hesitant. I like Michael Thomas though too. I think he's going to have a really good year.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to tight ends. Okay, we're done.
Good talk.
Adam Troutman, 27th all the board. Don't ever do it. I've never even heard of this guy before. I don't even think this guy exists.
Adam Troutman, though, for real though, he is a sleeper tight end. He could break out. He put up in college, so he was a rookie last year, so he didn't put up big numbers because he was a rookie. But in college, he put up numbers.
Oh, okay. Last year was a rookie. I'm like, how the fuck was he a rookie in college last year?
But no, he was a rookie last year. But when he played in college, he put up numbers similar to Travis Kelce-like numbers, and he's got the frame to produce. So depending on how they use the tight end in the system, they don't have a lot of other options besides, outside of Thomas and Kamara. So he could be a sneaky play to keep an eye on, the first couple weeks. I don't think anyone's going to be out there drafting Troutman. So just keep your eye on him.
All right, what college was he from?
I'm not even sure what college he went to, but
I'll look it up because I'm interested.
Yeah. Dayton, not a huge school, but
yeah. What are you talking about, Greg? Greg, come on,
keep
dude.
Your eye on it.
This guy played against high school teams. Come on. Oh, come on.
I'm not.
Dude, you're killing me.
He is the sleeper. He is a huge sleeper.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ, joke. Greg. You got me so hyped. You're making it sound like
here.
Dude, you made it sound like he was from Alabama or something crazy.
I'm telling you, he put up huge numbers. He's the guy you got to look at.
Okay. Well, I don't want to make a bet about him because you seem strangely confident.
He's going to be the number 1 tight end there. So he's going to be he could be worth the a flyer, but I would just wait until your waivers. He's a guy that keep an eye on for sure. 6'6", 255, tight end, drafted in the 3rd round. He's got high draft capital. They like this guy.
I don't know. Where is this coming from, by the way?
I've been doing my research. I'm in my dynasty league. We got to know all the names.
That's very true.
Guys.
Listen, if Greg says there's a sleeper, he's a fucking sleeper, all right?
Yeah. What is your strong opinion on tight ends recently, Greg? This is like so annoying.
It's not super strong. I'm saying he's a sleeper that you can get off the waiver. It's not like I'm saying draft him in the 5th round.
I'm just saying your knowledge right now is like throwing me off. Like you're so.
He just did a rookie draft.
Yeah. Okay. I'll shut up.
So
Chuck is
Just saying.
combative today.
I am
I know.
combative today. I don't know why you're defending a guy named Adam Troutman. I've never even heard of this man.
I thought you
Hey.
said let's not make fun of names.
I'm sorry.
So you're
on,
over here
Troutman.
judging people off of names.
This guy is
I'm
literally
just-
named Adam Fishman. Is that a ridiculous name or no?
Here, go to this link I'm sending you.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
right now,
Okay.
and just look at this picture and tell me you don't think that this man could be good.
Yeah. Okay. Nice, Captain America.
No, but I'm serious.
my-
He's got good numbers, good metrics. He's the perfect height and weight for a tight end that you would want. He'll be
Okay.
good.
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this in a later episode.
Why is the picture? Why is the picture Captain America?
I couldn't tell you that, but that's what they decided to go with.
It's very discrediting, in my opinion, to be honest.
But it's probably just because they don't have a good picture for him available for whatever reason. But
For to get
That's
this man a nice
comparable.
picture.
That's comparable. Dallas Goddard. I'm in.
there you go.
Okay. Well, do you have anything to add, Julian? I think that I'm already.
I never
burnt
heard
out.
him before this, so no.
Okay, I think that's a wrap. So thank you everyone for listening in. Check us out on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, anywhere that you can get a podcast, and our YouTube. Thank you guys so much, and I'm signing off. I'm Chuck.
This is Julian.
And this is Greg. See you later.